I got it. And I got the right person. Yes. And down in the corner, there's a mic button there that, okay, good. Perfect. Well done.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Close to amazing tonight. So how do you pronounce your name for real?
Samantha.
Samantha. I was close. Good.
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay, cool. So how can I help you?
So I was referred to you by my good friend Tracy.
Ah, nice.
And
Thank you, Tracy.
so
Oh yes, she's still on.
she
Perfect.
is, yeah, we've been texting back and forth. So question, um, I'm at a loss of where to take my career next. Um, in fact, I'm completely dissatisfied with where my life is at. I don't enjoy my career. I don't enjoy my personal situation, and I feel stuck in the situations that I'm in.
Okay. Okay, so be a little bit more specific. Fill me in on you're single, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. No kids.
No.
Okay, so if you were a guy, I'd say none that you know of. But frankly, if you're a woman, you really do know.
That's right.
It's not up for debate. Okay, so what kind of work broadly were you in or are you in?
I'm in management consulting.
Okay, and what style of management consulting do you do? There's a very broad range. Like
Right. So
I'm
no, I'm not in technology. So now I'm in risk advisory, and I consult clients mostly on sustainability, climate change, and regulatory changes
okay.
for a big four company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how much of that is politics? Like, there are a number of different things that I'm hearing that are driving you crazy. Maybe not the best choice of words, but it's sort of like you're not happy. You're constrained by people around you, and mostly, I would argue, likely your boss is not. How's your boss?
Restrictive.
Yes. Okay. We'll just
So
leave it at that.
she operates within a really small box, but that's not her fault. She's grown up in this organization.
No, I get it. Yeah, I really do. So,
A lot of it is politics, to answer your question,
yeah,
internal politics, but also a lot of the work that you get hired to do is merely a paper pushing exercise in order to, pardon my French, cover your ass.
yeah.
So not only are you dealing with internal politics, you're dealing with external politics as well. And so there's
Yeah, I got all that from what you were saying before, and the box there. You're tired of that corporate game, as it were, and it's like, okay, so you need to find something that's going to help you free yourself up and transform you, and starting to, one of the things here. Okay, enough of that stuff. Here's some gaps. You're not identifying your strengths well enough for you to have the level of confidence that you need. You have a level of frustration, but not of confidence right now. You are very confident in what you do. You know how to do it. You know how to do it very well. You've got the training. You can walk the talk. You can sing the song, and all of these things you hate. So it's not fun.
no, you're wearing a mask all
Yeah,
the time.
all the time. And the problem is you personally are starting to lose yourself in that mask. And that is the thing that has been the tipping point now for the last 6 to 9 months. And you're unclear as to where to go. It's been longer, but really apparent for 6 to 9 months ago, it became very aware of that, like slapped in the face with it. And you now are willing to look at something else. But your inability to determine a direction for you to go on a consistent basis here is one based on fear. And that fear is lack of your strengths have not been, you have been told repeatedly by other people what your strengths are. You have not by everybody, by the way, a few people, very limited people. But you don't look for your strengths. You are aware that you have them, but you don't know what they are clearly and transferably. In other words, in a given technical situation, you know that you know. Okay? You're smart, you're intelligent, you get the information, you can debate it with the best of them. You don't need to debate it because the facts are the facts and you've checked them. They are what they are. So if you disagree, well, you're stupid, but you disagree because these are just facts. They're not disagree. You cannot disagree. You can accept them or reject them, but you can't disagree with them, sort of thing. So if you don't want to use them, don't use them. Anyway, long story short here is you better start looking, not you better, that's not a fair way of saying it, but yes, I'll say it this way, because you need to kick yourself in the ass, because not many people do, because you are smart and you can kick back, and you don't often do that effectively to yourself. And you take care of yourself, but you're taking care of yourself from a survival mentality, not from a thriving mentality. So, somebody has to kick it in the ass with love and caring and affection. And these are rare commodities in your life right now. And this is not a time and place for it. It's a time and place for you to find this. And I think, Tracy is one of those people that sees this in you and says, damn, girl, you are better than this. Which Tracy? I've got two Tracys on here, Tracy Mack and just Tracy. Do you know which one it is?
Tracy Mack, not the Tracy who spoke earlier.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking, I've chatted with Tracy before, and Tracy Mack, that is, and I go, building on your strengths, you got to start really identifying what your strengths are, okay? And get it so that they're top of mind, because they're not top of mind, okay? You know that you have them, but they're not easy. Your gaps, you identify your gaps far more easily than you identify your strengths. And you identify, in fact, I would argue that you don't just look for your gaps, but you look for things that you do wrong more than
what I do right.
Yeah. And right there, right, wrong is that judgment kicking in. And so your self-judgment is great. And you beat the crap out of yourself really well. And you are very well healed at being able to hide that from others. And you do that brilliantly well. I mean, brilliantly well. So people don't get it. And then it goes internal and you beat the crap out of yourself. And then you don't know what to do and you doubt that you have the capacity to do it. And girl, you got a lot of capacity. And you know that, and yet you don't act on it. And you're caught in this loop. And part of the loop is frustration. And part of the loop is overwhelm. And part of the loop is, of being stuck in this in this scenario, and you want a level of security, but the security that you're wanting is a living hell, but it looks good on paper for other people, and potentially, I don't know, I'm getting this thing about family expectations and, you know, how that plays into that. I don't want to dive into that because I think that that's full of other weeds that we'd have to deal with.
Right.
But I think that that's got, you know, stuff that you've got to deal with as well. And I would seriously start figuring out what you want to do for you, because it's really muddy. It's really unclear.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I get it. So one of the things that I do, I'd strongly suggest to people is pick something and try it out. And if it's at all possible, try it out part-time so you don't have to quit your job and do it. Just see if you would like to do something else. And volunteer. If you can't do it part-time, volunteer, you know, and see if you can help somebody do something different. And that changes your perspective. You have the capacity to go out there and see possibilities. See possibilities for others,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't see those possibilities for you.
No.
And when people share what they see in you, you very actively are dismissive. So I would.
Yeah. Like, I've been on this managerial consulting business corporate path since the age of 24, and everything else has been squashed, and I don't really know any other way. And the point that I'm at right now is that, like, okay, I'm 30, I'm down this path, I hate the path, but what's the point in exploring anything else anyway?
Yeah. What do you do for exercise?
Spin class.
Okay. Do you like spin class?
Yeah, I do. Some days I like it more than other days, but most days I like it.
Cool. That's excellent. That's good to hear. What's a challenge that you would love to take on? Would you love to become better at spin?
Nope, not
Okay.
necessarily.
Just asking.
No, like, I mean, it's my outlet for releasing stress, for getting exercise in. I really enjoy it. I have plateaued a little bit at it, but no, I don't want to necessarily become better at it.
Okay, cool. Before you had things squashed, what were those things that lit your fire?
Travel. So basically, timeline condensed, graduated, traveled, felt really high on life. You know the saying, like, the world is your oyster. I was kind of just out doing that, taking everything in. Entered the corporate world, squashed. Wanted to be a marine biologist as a kid. No real, like, passions or anything like that.
Connecting with people. What kind of connections?
Right. So that I really enjoy. So throw me into a room of people who I don't know, and I'll form a relationship with them really easily. That I enjoy. But
Transforming lives.
yeah, Yeah. So the world of philanthropy was really appealing to me for a while. Um, Actually, making a quote unquote difference in the world in the typical millennial sense. But I really struggled with finding the path of like, what is philanthropy plus earning a living plus having some sort of enjoyment out of your life. I struggled to find that.
Yeah. Where do you live? What city?
I live in Calgary,
Cool.
and then a couple years ago I relocated to San Francisco because I always wanted to live there. And then shit just kind of hit the fan, and then I had to move back. I've been back in Calgary for a little while now.
Okay. Cool. Um, and you work between US and Canada, or
Yeah, now it's mostly Canada, but a few years ago it was exclusively in the US.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I know, for like you've articulated, for the past 6 to 9 months, it's a little bit of Groundhog Day. There's no joy, nothing. I worked on that, on like little pieces and finding enjoyment in really everyday life. But that part of my life is not enjoyable at all. And naturally, if 10 out of 24 hours of your day are not enjoyable, there's no way you're going to attract other things into your life. So I know that I'm due for the next thing.
And so now it's about throwing your hat into the ring and figuring out what that next thing is. And I'm just not hearing that you're wanting to throw your hat into the ring to figure out what that next thing is. And it's due. Instead of trying to think it through, it's about do it.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
it's about action taking. It's not about planning. It's about action taking.
Okay.
So, I mean, you got to get a direction. And sometimes, I don't often recommend this, but I do with people like you in this scenario where you are unclear as to where you're going and you have a ton of skills that are unrecognized by you mostly. You have a ton of strengths that are, again, going unrecognized by yourself. And you don't sort of take stock of where you're at effectively. I mean, seriously, you're one of those people that I would say, you know what? I put the program up there, or somebody else did, on this thing, and get that rewire your mind, because you got to start getting the mind models in place so that you can stop yourself before you go down this road too far. You're already down at a fair chunk, but you don't need to go down further. And you've got, your early signs of depression. You're not chronically depressed, but you're clinically depressed. So we don't want to turn clinically depressed into chronically depressed. Okay. My dad went into a coma, and he was in a coma for 14 years before he died. And I started diving down into a depression. And unfortunately, I had the skills to stop it.
Right.
And, going out and renting movies that made me cry for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks of really slapstick comedy and make me laugh crazy. Tears, crying actually is the best stress reliever. It's even better than exercise. Just good crying. I don't know if you notice this, but every time you have a really good cry, you feel better after when you've stopped crying. That weird thing is tears actually do get rid of, you secrete stressor hormones and chemicals through your tears better than anything else. And that's how come you generally feel better after a cry. And, so crying is very therapeutic. And so is laughter and going out and laughing. And so Go out, have a good time. Make yourself have a good time. That's what I had to do. And it's not fun. It's funny in retrospect, but it's not fun when you're going out and trying to make yourself have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, it's work. And it's work for the first, week or month or so. But, you're going to have to do that. So you're going to have to transition yourself and get yourself to that next level. And then see, where can I go in my life that I can make an impact on people, probably travel. And I don't know, have you heard of NES and EMP? You've got to have.
Sorry?
No excuses.
No excuses. No.
Yeah, okay. I was speaking at that conference a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas. And anyway, I just thought, one of the things that there are multitude. I'm not going to push anything. I was just going to say there are opportunities with your skill sets that you have not even begun to scratch the surface of. You got to get curious, and you got to start digging and finding out what's fun, because you can work with people really well. You can influence people really well. Get some skill sets between those ears on how to do that consciously, not just with the talent that you've picked up over years, not a subconscious skill set, but a conscious skill set that you can choose to use. And that's how come I'm suggesting rewiring your mind for wealth. I mean, it's not the wealth part, it's all of the 63 mind models that are in there. And I'm working with people on stage and transforming lives. And people have been transformed by that. And you might be too. I mean, it's really, I don't have time to break down all the things, because your stuck states are in and out of why this is happening to you at a subconscious, you're unconsciously asking why internally. Why me? Why this? Why not? Why don't I have a relationship? Why don't I have a good job? Why don't I? And you've hit 30, and why am I not where I wanted to be, at 30? And oh my God, it's 30. And on and on and on. And I go, yeah, well, it is 30, and you are living through it, and you can connect with people. And it's about getting out there and connecting. Because if you're going to stay home and not connect,
right,
that's the reality of it. And I'm sorry for being so bloody direct sometimes, but like I said, sometimes somebody's got to lovingly kick you in the butt and get you going in a direction, because the one that you're quietly going down is not healthy. So it's not working for you, girl. It really isn't.
Cool.
So anyway, how are you doing?
Good. Like, I think that in other conversations that I've had with other people and myself, it's, the path isn't working. It's not true to who I think I am, whether that be professionally, geographically, whichever. But still, you've actually given me a lot of good insight there around it's just a matter of trial and error. Like, try shit. Try this, try that.
Yeah, you got to throw them out up against the wall. Like when I was working at Life Skills, I'd be working with people. I mean, you're not potentially suicidal. At least your language pattern doesn't indicate that to me. So I'll just say that. Okay, because if it did, I'd be dealing with you at a different level. But the bottom line here is your language pattern is telling me that you don't know where to go to do anything different, and you're standing still expecting something different to happen. You're not even doing the same old. You're just standing still expecting something else different to happen. And it's not going to, and that's just making you more depressed. And I get it. I understand the pattern. But the only way to break this pattern is you to get up, get off your ass, go out there and start figuring out, get on the computer, research groups that you want to do, research travel groups that you could have a good time doing, and, you know, putting together opportunities. I mean, it's all possible. You are a good, your language pattern indicates that you're at least a decent organizer. You know,
Decent,
yeah. And that is a skill set somebody can use in travel, even. You know, so there are lots of things. Catherine, my eldest daughter, just went last year, a little over a year ago, went away on 6 months traveling India and Asia. And the first 3 months of that were sort of in India and with a group that was educationally based and living in hostels and studying abroad. I mean, you know, give yourself the opportunity to have input. You know, look at how you want to help yourself by helping others, because the fastest way to get out of a depression is by helping somebody else.
right?
I mean, seriously, there's no faster way to do that. Volunteer, commit, help somebody, and it will warm the cockles of your heart. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. But you got to do. You just have to get off your butt and do, and figure out what's next. Okay?
Cool. Thanks so much.
I hope this has been helpful.
It has, yeah, it really has.
So one other specific thing other than just do, what else? What's your takeaway?
I think you've validated for me that the path is the wrong one, and not just the path of.
Let's put it this way. I won't call it wrong. I'll call it highly ineffective.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
I would ask you to do one small thing for me. Have you been on many of my, you know, the Blair Dunkley Experience webinars? Or is this
No, I haven't.
Is this your first?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I do on this thing is I get people to look at their mind models. And effective versus ineffective is a big one that I go into. And I go, start naming and labeling things in terms of that's effective, that's ineffective. Not that, or you could say that works, that doesn't work, but not that's right, that's wrong, that's good, that's bad. That forces you into a judgment mindset, and it reinforces your self-judgment of yourself. And it's not effective long term. So just a simple thing is changing a couple of words when you go, okay, that's ineffective, that's effective. And you'll change how you are inside, because your brain is not wired to right, wrong, good, or bad the same way. It's wired to effective or ineffective, or that works or that doesn't work. Okay, it'll shift you. Just do it. And just that small little shift could be enough to transform, to break through, get that chink in the armor, crack it open, and let the light come in. Okay?
I'll do that. Yeah, thank you. Like already in my mind, there are distinctions.
Yes. Yeah, what are some of those distinctions?
So for example, spin, really effective.
Right.
In, out, done. I feel happy. I feel accomplished. My work, a lot of bureaucracy, approvals required, various courses that need to be taken to do the lamest stuff. Ineffective. Family runs a business. I'm really effective at that. I get in, I get out, I can do it with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
Ineffective. Probably the dream of like coming back to California. because I can't seem to wrap my mind around how do I do this.
Okay, that is not effective or ineffective when you go, I can't seem to find a way to wrap my mind around it. Complicated versus complex. Okay, that's not the same thing. Complicated versus complex. You seemed like you wanted to get back to California, but you can't wrap your mind around how to do that. Correct?
Yeah.
That's complicated versus complex. That's how come these are all the little nuances. There's 63 mind models that I teach in that course, and that you need to see the differentiation between. Okay? Because when you get them, life starts getting simpler.
Okay.
How you're making, you are a good decision maker. The problem is how you make decisions, not that or what you make decisions, on. It's how you're making those distinctions. Either that, have you gotten the book Principles by Ray Dalio?
No.
Okay. So I would strongly recommend something like that. It's a great business book. It's a great life book. And it's the closest thing to my mind models in that are written down. I don't agree with all of them. Most of them I do. The vast majority of them I do. They're not quite as simple and shift worthy as I would like them to be. That's how come I'm still going to do my book on mind models, but I'm going to train people up on them and do that. But since I don't have that book out, Ray Dalio's Principles, next best thing. Okay.